Nigel Farage's Reform UK Party and Zach Polanski's Green Party are really the two parties that are looking to capitalise on this decline of the establishment parties. And I think really, that is really important for British Jews, really for a number of reasons. I think firstly, local elections ultimately decide who is responsible for community safety, for schooling, for protest management, for communal relations. And of course, against the backdrop of a record wave of anti-Semitism, that is absolutely critical at a local level in terms of who is responsible for that. But I think there is a wider issue that you really alluded to, and that is the fact that, really a election result that points towards a major victory for the Greens and Reform will really represent a wider move towards a sort of more partisan, sectarian politics in Britain, which ultimately won't just affect British Jews, but of course all of us. And I think that will really put a huge amount of pressure on British Jews in terms of how we respond in that new political environment. I think ultimately, of course, we're going to see some pressure on Jews in terms of which side do you go on in this fragmentation. But I think it's very difficult for Jews to navigate in Britain because ultimately they're looking to a party to represent them. But of course, Nigel Farage's Reform Party, which claims to champion British Jews, even himself has claimed has faced accusations of anti-Semitism. And of course, we know there is always a danger on the far right or the authoritarian right that actually Jews are used as pawns against a wider game against sort of general immigration. So I think really it's a very confusing time in British politics. And I think really these election results are going to point towards that. But I think, as you mentioned, the major political significance on a national level will be what happens in terms of Keir Starmer's leadership.